Yes, προβάλλα να με συγχωρέσετε, η παρουσίαση μου είναι στα αγγλικά, και ότι θα δυσκολευτώ λίγο να την μεταφράζω, θα συνεχίσουμε στα αγγλικά. So, my name is Christos. I am a partner and a co-founder in a startup called Blupath. I think I represent probably the youngest company that has talked in this conference. So first of all, I wanted to thank the organizers for giving me the chance to talk to you and to explain a bit about the kind of things that we do. So typically when I present, I'm used to presenting to investors where we go into detail about the company and the product. And I want to do things slightly differently here. So I'm going to talk a bit more generally about the kind of technologies and capabilities that we're dealing with. And I guess also a bit about the kind of society that these capabilities are taking us into. So Blupath, we call ourselves a proximity marketing or a proximity broadcasting platform. And a lot of people don't really know what that means because we're talking about really new technologies. So sometimes I like to describe that as kind of like the second half of the Internet of Things. So typically when we talk about the Internet of Things, we talk about connected devices that in some way use sensors to collect information in and then make that available to us. So let me give you some examples. We have, for example, smart toothbrushes. So you brush your teeth, and then it uses sensors to calculate how healthy they are, and then it gives that information to you. Or we have fitness bands. You wear them around your hand. They measure your fitness as you exercise. They make that information then available to you. Well, proximity broadcasting is the idea that any object or any point in space around us can also become a broadcaster of information to the people that walk nearby. And the places where these technologies have been used, first of all, has been in places like retailers and shopping centers. So let me give you some examples. So imagine a shopping mall. What we can do is we can take the entrance of the shopping mall, the doors that lead you inside, and we can turn the entrance into a broadcaster that communicates with people as they walk inside or as they come within a range of, say, 10 or 20 meters. And then we can trigger a message to those people as they walk in that can give them, say, a personalized welcome message, show them a map of the shopping mall on the phone, and maybe a list of events or of special offers that they can find in the location. Or, for example, I may be walking into a shop to buy a new piece of clothing, and I may not be able to find it in a size that fits. What the shop is able to do is it can turn the rack of clothes or a specific point within the shop into a broadcaster. So this time working at, say, 5 meters, and as I approach every piece of clothing, it broadcasts a link to me where I can go online and I can see exactly the webpage where I can buy what I want to find in the size that fits me and then have it delivered to my door. Another example I like to use in Cyprus is an example of a coffee shop, because we have so many coffee shops in Cyprus. So what a coffee shop can do is it can turn the entire shop into a broadcaster, and then when somebody walks, say, 50 meters outside the shop itself can broadcast some kind of offer to get them to come in. So it could be some special offer, like we're going to have a half price on our coffees for the next 2 hours, or maybe we're going to be showing the game at 7 o'clock, so come on in and sit down with us. Now, these technologies become a lot more powerful when the kind of things that you broadcast are no longer contextual just to the space where you're at, but also to the person that receives them. So let me give you one more example. So let's say I'm walking within a supermarket, and I walk up to the drinks aisle. If the supermarket, having information about me from my loyalty scheme, knows that I tend to buy beer a lot, it can broadcast a message to me about its beer products. If someone else walks in that they know they like wine or some other kind of drink, they can broadcast a message that's relevant to their own tastes. I'm gonna skip through this slide, and I'm gonna come to my final example, which would be a hotel. So we know that we had the hotel tech talk on in the same day. So let's use an example. Say I walk within my room in the hotel, and my room becomes a broadcaster that as soon as I walk in, gives me maybe a specialized, personalized welcome message. If I'm there for a conference, it points me to a map for the conference where I want to go to. If I'm there for tourism, it points me to the tourist locations that I want to visit. Now, the one thing to note is that proximity marketing and proximity broadcasting is not spam. And this is the one thing that a lot of people get worried about. And it's not spam because you're able to define the kind of things that you want to be notified about. So for example, what I can do is I can tell my phone that, I'm only interested to get broadcasts and messages from the organizers of a conference that I'm going to go to, or maybe for any drinks, for any messages about drinks. But even if I get messages about drinks, only notify me if they have the keywords beer or alcohol or free drinks within them. And then my phone is only going to scan around me for those kind of things that fit my own criteria. The second thing that's interesting to note is that proximity broadcasting, we call it a passive rather than an active form of communication. So right now, for example, if you want to find out information about what's around you, what you typically do is you take out your phone, you open it up, you open up an application like Google Maps or Yelp, you see what's around you, then you close it, and then you go on your way. What we can do with these technologies is we can basically tell our phone what are the things that interest us, and then we can just close our phone, we can close any application, go on around our day, and our phone will keep on scanning 24/7 for anything around us that fits the criteria. If we ever throughout the day are close to something that matches what interests us, we're going to get a notification, we can see what the broadcast is. And the final thing that's of interest is that it's not just objects and points in space. So persons themselves can become broadcasters of information on their own. So for example, imagine I want to sell my car. I can turn myself into a broadcaster. I can see I'm selling a Mazda, that's the price, that's the make of my car. I can move around as I would normally do on my day, broadcasting this information to anybody around me. And if anyone ever comes close to me that wants to buy a car that fits in with the things that I'm broadcasting, the phone is going to send them a message and it's going to say, look, the guy over there in the corner, that's the guy you should talk to in order to find that car that you want to buy. So these kind of technologies, and there's lots of technologies that kind of do similar things. They're new technologies, but they're not niche technologies, and they're expected to boom in the next 3 years, in the next few years, actually. So within the next 3 years, it's expected that 85% of all retailers in the US are going to be using these kind of technologies. So I want you to kind of envision a future where every single object, every single point in space, every single person is a broadcaster of information that is relevant to where you are, that's relevant to who you are, and that you only receive that and are notified about that if it is information that you're interested in. So what it is that we do with Blupath, well, basically we're a platform and we have a number of components in our platform that makes all these things that we've talked about, makes them possible. So we work with application publishers, we work with large locations that want to deploy such technologies, and we work with large partners like marketing companies, like technology consultancies, or even with telecommunications companies that want to offer these capabilities to their own clients and their own users and the local businesses in their own market. We're building, we believe, not just a proximity marketing platform, but probably we think the best proximity marketing platform out there. And if anyone is interested to find out more about what we do, about when it will be available for you to use, so if you want to be a partner and want to use these technologies, you can obviously come and find me afterwards at the end of the conference. Thank you very much. And I will leave it to an amazing panel over there at the left.